Yeah. The lightsabers that we used back in the prequels were literally like there was a certain kind of alloy. I don't know. It was a
Thomas.
And Thomas.
Yeah. Thomas.
That's right.
Yeah.
And all he did was make lightsabers, and every take we'd be handed a new one. And nowadays they're different. They're different now. I sort of missed the old ones, to be honest.
They had a nice feel to them.
Yeah. Yeah, they were real clash together. Yeah, anyway, it's the good old days. Lightsabers aren't where they used to be.
I'm going to show you how I like to make something similar to what was used in the prequel films. Let's get to it.
So this is an example of the Anakin or Luke original, and this is the old way we used to do it. This is nothing but PVC and flattened out PVC to make all these different little details. And we actually do a lot less detail now. We don't put that box anymore. And then we used pretty thick zip ties and glued those on. And we did that all the way around. And then there it is again with more detail. Like I said, we don't do that anymore. So this is a new version of what you saw me working on in the beginning. This is how we do them now. 3D printed parts now. And we're also adding this little chuck section or grip section so that the stunt performer or actor can get a good spot to spin there. Here's a one that we did a little earlier with a pretty bad tape job. Maybe it can be better, but I had a little less of an area here, so I'm doing this one with a little bit larger of a section slightly. And then the other thing we were doing was we were dropping this emitter piece down onto the core. I'm trying something a little different on this one, leaving the core empty. And I think what they did in the films was with the blade, they would just add that a little bit of thicker section of chrome tape there. So that's what we're going to try on this one. And as you can see, I'm still building this one. I'm waiting on the other pieces in the printer, but then this one will be put together and ready to go. You also saw me doing using those large zip ties. So now it's a section of two 3D printed pieces that we just glue on next to each other, and that works for a stunt saber for sure, because you'll never see that up close. But yeah. So this is just a sample of what we used to do, just using PVC, and you guys can actually still use that method today. It's still a viable option. Only thing I would do different is, since you have to modify a lot of PVC fittings and pieces, I would make a really good looking one and then mold it, and then shove the blade down in there into the mold and fill it with resin, and it'll be a lot quicker, probably a lot cheaper, and you'll be able to crank these things out left and right. So now you see me putting on the 3D printed pieces onto the core, and this is just a obi-wan or a Luke, and here it is finished, and we use tape and paint to color it. The center is still the same size diameter as that 1/2 inch PVC. And this just allows us to, meticulously go over the small details that we want in each piece, so we can mimic any hilt really. And obviously this one is Obi-Wan. It could also pass for a Luke if you color scheme it a little different. So the most important thing is the blade. Most of us know the company that made the ones for episode 3. I mean, those are the only ones that are really important because they were able to stand up to combat. And they were using carbon fiber. So for about $7, if you go to a hardware store, you can usually find driveway markers. If you get the 3/8 inch one, I think, it's the thicker one. You want to get the thick one. The thinner one, here's an example of the thinner one, flexes a little bit more than we would like. This one's able to flex too, but not as much, and stays a little stiffer on film. So when you're doing your tracking later, it's not looking wonky. But basically, we dowel it in 2 to 3 places, and this allows it to hug the walls of the PVC and stay in there pretty good. Now, I can't get this one out because I designed a special lock piece so that, it stops at the top, stops on top of one of those thick pieces of tape, and it doesn't allow it to slip out. So you can technically get the same effect. If you make one of these, you just mold it and then shove this inside and let it cure inside the resin you use. And you get actually probably a much more sturdy blade, and it'll never come out. And we say it all the time, we actually have not gotten one of these to break yet. So I think they are very comparable to the prequel style stunt sabers. Now you can do, less detail than this or more detail or whatever you want because you're designing it yourself. But we try and keep things very low profile so that it's comfortable to duel with. And this is very comfortable to fight with. The tape is for a couple of reasons. It's what gives us the tracking color, and you can pick whatever works for your show. And it also protects any people handling it. Fiberglass is nasty stuff. You do not want to get it in your skin, or if any pieces start to chip, you don't want to get it in your eyes or your lungs. So taping is definitely a must. We also tried a couple of other things like heat shrink and stuff, but heat shrink made the blade very heavy. If you try it, you'll notice the difference immediately. So tape was our happy medium. We were trying to come up with something a little bit more commercial, but honestly, it's the best option that we could find. So that is just a little FYI.
All right, guys, so that wraps it up. This is just my take on how I like to make stunt sabers, similar to the prequel films. So if you enjoyed this, if it helped you, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks for watching.